Welcome back, everybody. Birgitta has just been announced. She looks absolutely ridiculous. Let's get into it. First and foremost, I did want to give you guys the opportunity to take a look at her, her little animations and her skills. So I will unmute this.
Come find me.
Look at how good she looks.
Or learn a painful lesson.
Oh, it should have been me. Oh, it should have been me.
Birgitta is Skugeheim's most sought after.
Okay, all right. Now that that's been said, this is going to be more of an analysis. So let's just take a quick look at what this character has. First and foremost, it is a Soul Weaver with effectiveness, which makes her pretty unique. This does feel like a new kind of Soul Weaver where she's got 114 base speed. She's more effectiveness based. I'm not exactly sure if this is Sharoon's constellations, but this is what it feels like. In any case, long story short, you just need to know that she's decently fast, has effectiveness, and let's just get into her kit. First things first, her S3 skill is super funny. It's named Nothing Personal. It dispels all buffs from the enemy before applying a 85%, no, it's 100% chance. It's a 100% chance to inflict bind and block for 2 turns, and she has a Soulburn Ignore ER. Now, just at base, number one, the fact that they introduced a new buff or a new debuff called Block is crazy because Block prevents you from getting, I believe, combat readiness pushes. You can't be affected by any buffs. It's pretty bad, okay? Now, exactly what you can or can't cleanse and things of this, things of this nature are still a little bit left to be described. Even from the showcase that I've seen, I don't really quite understand the dispel debuff thing. All I know is that for right now, this is a very impactful S3. It's bind and block, like I mentioned, and what they show is Navy Captain Landy hitting against a Lone Crescent Bellona. She can't press any buttons, and it is really annoying. However, if we move along to her skill 2, her skill 2, there you go. It is a dispel 2 debuffs from an ally, so it's a cleanse, and increases combat readiness push by 100% while also giving an extra turn to the caster. Now, you might think that, oh, well, a character like Moon Bunny, of course, punishes this, but then you remember, oh, well, if you have souls, you can strip every single buff from the enemy. Now, of course, this is a single target, and it isn't AoE, so it is a little bit different from Knockwall. However, binding and blocking one character for 2 turns that you can ignore Soulburn Ignore ER is quite impactful, and the S1 is actually quite nice as well because it says that it pushes back an enemy by 15%. And if you do have block on the enemy, it actually doubles. So it's now 30%, which is really nice because that's kind of a little bit better or on par with a character like Conqueror Lilius's S2. But that isn't even the craziest thing about this character, in all honesty, because then we have to talk about Bird's Eye View, which is after using a non-attack skill, acquired 20 souls, and it can only be activated once. Does that sound familiar? Because yes, this is literally now Soul Weaver Tagahel's book. Now, to be clear, I understand that this character was supposed to be impactful because they're on this roll, they want to make more money, but this is absolutely ridiculous for the future or for the potential future of EpicSeven. Number one, because now every single Soul Weaver that you have previously used, a character like Amelia, Death Dealer Ray, any character, Ning Ning, all these characters that have non-attack skills now gain 20 souls if you just can afford to have the effect resistance or the effectiveness to debuff, and you don't actually need an actual artifact. Now, if you want to be more aggressive, what you have is a 20 soul book with your Soul Weavers, which is absolutely ridiculous because, of course, while the book is really crazy, we also have this new character that's been released that gives an extra turn, has a cleanse, and although you could argue that, again, you may want maybe some other artifacts on this character because it does feel like her kit itself is good enough to not even necessarily need book. She's the perfect candidate for it, especially if you aren't banning Bellion. I mean, just take a look at this kit, right? Dispels all buffs from the enemy, bind and block. Again, whether or not she's even that crazy, I still like the fact that it is a 5-turn. It's a 5-turn cooldown for a blind and block that's on a blind. a bind and block. I apologize. This is going to be so hard to say. For 2 turns, and that isn't even taken into consideration that she has a 50% combat readiness push alongside a dispel on S2 while also giving the extra turn. Now again, to be clear, this does open up characters that don't need attack buffs to basically get 50% free combat readiness push. A character like maybe Remnant Violet or Aiden or whoever it is that can get an attack buff or doesn't maybe need an attack buff and can nuke. This is a great pairing for this character to be like synergized with. Like, I can't really describe how like frazzled my thoughts are right now, because they released a really ridiculous artifact and an even, okay, the artifact is definitely better than the character, but a really kind of impactful you know, Soul Weaver as well. This is a 2 dispel cleanse. It is single target, so actually I guess now thinking about it, is single target, so maybe the character is not as impactful as her artifact. But again, simply having bind and block while also having a full strip from the enemy, I think is pretty impactful. Again, maybe she herself will see a little bit more play if you're trying to be on that 4 or 5 pick. I don't think she's going to be quite as impactful now that I've processed the fact that she isn't AoE. I was originally under the impression that her S2 was AoE, but it isn't. And in that case, I think, again, the full strip and the bind and the block, I'll get it right one time. I think that is pretty impactful. But again, a cleanse every 3 turns or 2 turns, however many turns it is, and a 5-turn cooldown on a full strip into bind and block is maybe not as impactful, especially because I thought it may be on a shorter cooldown, maybe 4 or 3 turns, but unless if you're running something to kind of reset your cooldowns, maybe she's pretty decent with a character like Laya, because then you get to reduce the turn cooldowns even more. But as far as I can tell right now, I think the major selling point right now of Birgitta is her artifact. In all honesty, this is going to be an artifact that you're likely going to need 2 or 3, I don't know, heck, even maybe 4 copies of, depending on which characters you're using it on. I can already imagine pairing this with a character like Spectre Tenebria, or someone using, I don't know, something like a Moon Bunny and pairing it with Sid to give the Sid souls. It's quite ridiculous. It is 20 souls, of course, only one time, but that is kind of enough to make this character go sicko mode. I would kind of pour through the showcase, but honestly, I don't think it's that impactful. It's just her pretty much sealing the last, or the Lone Crescent Bologna, and then a Navy Captain Landy showcase. Anyways, guys, what a ridiculous character. I'll probably go into more detail about how I feel about the character and what I think the best teams are going to be for her on my alt channel. If you haven't checked it out, it's more Canna. In any case, thank you guys again for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you learned something. If you did, make sure to like, comment, turn on the notification bell, and subscribe. Wow, Smilegate, you've outdone yourself. I have no words. Anyways, check out the rest of my socials. I'll see you all next time. Good night.